Welcome everybody to LinkedIn Live with me, Mark Stabina from Winning EQ. I help organizations improve their culture and performance by elevating the emotional intelligence of its people. Emotional intelligence, isn't it tightly wrapped in with mental health, which I'm very passionate about. I'm an advocate for, and I've decided during this month, this Mental Health Awareness Month, to try and play my part in raising awareness by bringing on experts, advocates, people that are doing big things in the world of mental health awareness. We're kicking off today my month of special, very important guests with Rob Schott. I don't even want to do his charity, his organization, a disservice by introducing it. I'm just going to bring him in. He's going to introduce why his mission has become a movement. We're going to talk about how it's become a movement to inspire all of you out there to create a movement of your own. So I'm going to bring Rob in without any further ado to talk about Loose Heads. Here's the man all the way from the UK. Thank you so much for your time, Robin. Always good to see you.
No, thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me on, especially as your first guest as well. And you wouldn't be doing us a disservice, I'm sure. You're the one wearing the post with pride, actually. Wearing the Loose Heads logo, and I'm not even wearing it, but it's in the background there, and it's always with me. But thanks for having me on. Really good to be here.
Rob, way to draw attention to the fact that you're not even wearing your own organization's merch, mate. Come on, you could have got away with it, but it's all good. I understand it's the end of probably a long day of mental health awareness for you. You're doing big things. You're out there daily, busy globally, not just in the UK. And I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that. So Loose Heads is the name of the organization, the charity, right? And there's merchandise, there's clothing attached to that, but much, much more than that. Tell us what is Loose Heads?
Yeah, of course. So Loose Heads is rugby's mental health charity. I'll take you back to the very start. So it started. It's coming up to 7 years ago now. It was a conversation at the end of a bar, which is where all good rugby stories start. Three of us, so myself, my dad, good friend Dave, sat in our local rugby club in the northwest of England called Wilmslow, watching the British and Irish Lions tour of New Zealand 2017 and talking about our rugby stories, rugby journeys, as you do. But more importantly, it was about the people that we met along the way. It was about the mates that we'd had that had what we described back then as a bit of a life wobble, and we felt like we couldn't really do anything positive to help our mates. Typical bloke thing, I guess. We've probably all been there, seeing our mates that are struggling, but patting them on the back and saying, "You'll be all right, mate. Do you fancy another beer?" And that doesn't really help. It paints over the cracks. And what we wanted to do was not cross on the other side of the road and be good Samaritans. So the more we dug around this, the more we found that nobody was really doing anything to support the rugby community, and nobody was doing anything to sort of support our mates. So again, we dug a little bit further, and we sort of saw the horrific stats around mental health and mental ill health. Over here in the UK, 1 in 4 people struggle with their mental health each year, and suicide is the biggest killer of men under the age of 50, of people under the age of 35. In the States, which is where you are, 1 in 5 people struggle with their mental health each year. And suicide kills more 10 to 24-year-olds than cancer and heart disease combined. So we saw this, and we know that rugby. You'll know this as well, working in the rugby space. But rugby is a wonderful sport. Rugby has a lot of togetherness and connection and camaraderie, and I like to call it the clubhouse feel. You walk into any clubhouse in the world, you've instantly got a load of new mates. So what we've always tried to do is marry up the positive aspects of what a rugby community can bring to doing something positive in the mental health space. So our mission is a fairly bonkers mission, and that's to place a mental health lead at every rugby club in the world. We're currently working with, signed up to our partnership program, we've got 1,132 rugby clubs, so 80% over here in the UK, 10% over in the States, and sort of dotted around in sort of 27 different countries. So we're sort of a bit taken back by the sort of support from the rugby community, but what we're trying to do is use rugby as that way of normalising the conversation, tackling the stigma, and ultimately saving lives. There are ultimately too many suicides happening around the world, and we're just trying to lower that number and save lives.
Pretty worthwhile mission. save lives and through mental health. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure you've given that pitch many, many, many times, and it gets no less impactful every time you say it. You mentioned tackle the stigma, which is a hashtag of the organization. Yes. Yeah. So we ask that everybody that gets on board to use the hashtag stigma. I actually want to ask you your definition of that stigma. What you touched on a little bit, but I think it's important for us because that word is thrown around a lot. I personally don't believe that everybody understands the stigma to be able to tackle it first and foremost, because that's the most important thing. What is the stigma? And I love to talk to people like yourself who are tackling the stigma to figure out the best way to break it down and where it even came from. So what do you mean by the stigma when you say tackle the stigma?
Yeah, I think stigma is, I think mental health, it's a positive. I'll start there. Mental health is a positive thing. Everybody has mental health. You and I both have mental health. It may be good, it may be bad, it may be indifferent. You know, it fluctuates all the time. Mental ill health is where the issues, conditions, anxiety, depression sort of creeps in. That can happen to anyone at any time. But I think it's more the education. I think that's why the stigma. Stigma essentially is that nobody wants to talk about it. People hear that term mental health and they instantly think negative connotations. They don't want to talk about it. They shy away from talking about it. You know, I've played with people on a rugby pitch. I've got mates away from rugby that, you know, will hear that term and they don't actually know what it means. It's the education around what it means and what it is, and that we all have it. I think something that we do quite a lot at Loose Ends in terms of tackling the stigma is we talk about, we try and change the dialogue a little bit. So we talk about mental fitness, and that's exactly what, you know, this month we'll come on to with Major League Rugby as well. You know, the mental fitness month. People hear, like I said, that term mental health and tend to either switch off because they sort of think negative connotations, or they're just not educated around it. But if we can change the dialogue a little bit more to talk about mental fitness, everybody knows about physical fitness, what we need to do to sort of stay fit physically, but mentally, if we can talk about it in that sense, it's sort of going to the gym for your mind, isn't it? And it's how we work on that. And we talk about all the time at Loose Ends, you know, the 5 ways to well-being or the 7 steps to mental fitness, and things that we do every day that sort of improve and maintain your whole mental health and mental fitness. But like I say, that stigma piece, that's the first step. I think it's breaking down those barriers. You know, there's a lot of people out there still that will just switch off, and I think that's sort of built into us. You know, that especially in the rugby environment and rugby setting, it's put a brave face on to go and play a game of rugby. Macho sport, isn't it? Played by macho characters, but people don't tend to take that brave face off when they come into the changing room or the clubhouse, and that's what we're all about. We're just there to exist, to tell people it is okay to not be okay. It is okay to take that brave face off, and it is okay to open up about how you're feeling to your mates, because more often than not, they're 100% going to be there for you. They're there for you on the pitch. They're there for you off the pitch, and they're your mates. They're not just your teammates on the field. They're your teammates off the field as well.
You're right. The analogy of everyone so comfortably and easily talks about physical fitness, and even let's take it out of the athlete realm, just to people, to non-athletes out there that want to stay fit and healthy. They can say, I'm unfit at the moment. You're physically, right? And I've let myself go a little bit and I'm going to get back on track, or I've got to get back into the gym. So people are comfortably talking about the physical fitness because it is just more acceptable, isn't it, when you use that language? Yet, as you said, well, our mental fitness is just as, if not more important. It's the basis of everything. So why is it so difficult for us to say, you know what, I'm mentally unfit at the moment, like we talk about physical fitness, knowing that it's normal, it can happen. And I'm going to get back on track, and I'm going to get help. I'm going to, just like we'd say, I've hired a personal trainer because I'm so unfit at the moment. I want to get back. I want to run a marathon. Why can't we just say the same thing around our, well, I'm going to get a therapist at the moment because I've let my mental fitness go a little bit and my mental health, I'm struggling a little bit and I want to get back on track. You're right. The stigma that exists is we avoid that. Just start changing language is the first thing that we can do, right? And you guys are doing that at Loose Heads with the mental fitness campaign. Tell us how this mission of putting a head in every organization, every rugby club, you said it's, what did you call it? Mental? It's a mental. It's a
bonkers. Bonkers mission. Yeah, bonkers is my favorite word.
It's bonkers. Why a lead in every? What was the thought behind that? To have an ambassador or a lead at every rugby club, and how is it going at the moment?
Yeah. So essentially, how that works is someone in a rugby club will put their hand up and say, "I want to be the mental health lead." We call that a loose head. Where we've seen most success is actually where we've not just had one person and we've had 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Just, it takes off the load from one person. But yeah, essentially what we do there is we provide a free toolkit of resources to the mental health lead or the mental health leads to prevent, promote, educate, signpost. So that's our loose head square, if you like, to prevent, promote, educate, signpost. So we're educating these people, we're giving them the right tools, the right resources. But I think what's also important is give these people the right amount of confidence to be able to talk about, shout about, champion mental health within their own rugby community, rugby setting, so that people know that they're the people that, it'd be similar in an organization, in a business setting. You might have a team of mental health first aiders, and people will know that those are the people that you need to go to if you're struggling and you need to go and talk to. We want to do it in the rugby environment and rugby clubs as well. So where we want to get to, like I said there, how's it going was your second question there. Good. 1,132 rugby clubs in 27 different countries.
Wow.
We actually posted a world map the other day of us working in 24 different countries with 1,000 rugby clubs. And that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And we've signed up, a lot more since then, because I think people love world maps, but also they've seen the work that we're doing. We've had a lot of people get in touch with, from countries where I didn't even know rugby existed, which is really nice to see the reach that we're sort of having. Really good. Our mission, our bonkers mission, like you say, is place mental health lead in every rugby club. There are 16,500 rugby clubs in the world, so that shows how bonkers the mission really is. But yeah, I think what we want to do is something that we're working on is a 3-step plan at Loose Head. So connect, deliver, support. So connect is where we want to build a technology platform where these rugby clubs and these mental health leads, the Loose Heads, can have a more user-friendly journey in terms of accessing the toolkit, but also build a bit of a network so that these mental health leads from around the world, so someone in Chester in the UK can talk to El Paso in Texas and sort of share best practice and what works and what doesn't work. The second point is deliver. So what we want to do is build out a qualification sort of system where we have level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is available right now, and people can gain that education through our website and through our toolkit. But what we want to get to is where we're offering a rugbyfied mental health first aid course. So we're talking the rugby language, which is important, but we're giving these people the right support and delivering a bit of a qualification for people. And then the third, more sort of scary point, which is scary because it requires the most amount of funding. But essentially what we want to do and where we want to get to is we want to provide a gold standard clinical support service for the rugby community for free. So at the moment in the UK, I'll give an example because that's where I'm based, but it's the same for sort of most developed countries around the world, that you're waiting quite a long time. If you're struggling right now, you're waiting quite a long time to get that triage, that clinical assessment, and then you're waiting a little bit further, for a little bit more down the line to actually get the help, the support, the guidance that you need. In the UK, as an example, it's 18 months, up to 18 months, just to be seen for a triage, a clinical assessment. So, in most cases, it's far too late, and that person, it's not a good situation to be in, and they sort of feel like they're not being heard, being seen. So, what we want to do is help the rugby community, those people that are struggling in the rugby community, to get the help that they need right now. So that's what we're working on in the background: the connect, the deliver, the support. So that's where we're getting to. We've been having a lot of conversations in the last sort of 6 to 9 months. We've got a few different panels at Looseheads, but one of them is a business advisory panel. So there's only 2 full-time staff. Dave and I are constantly on this hamster wheel and working quite hard, very hard in the background. But this business advisory group give us the helicopter view to sort of look at growth strategy and our future plans. So those 3-step that 3-step plan is where we're sort of heading. But yeah, we're really excited about it. It would be, if we can roll that out, connect, deliver, support, it would be the first of its kind anywhere in grassroots sport around the world, which is obviously a very nice thing to be able to say, but very important thing to be able to do as well, given that, the horrific stats and that we mentioned before.
It would be a nice thing, but that's not what is driving you, is it? You talked about the beginnings and why it was important for you, and you've created a movement. Whether that was intentional or not, we can talk about that. What I like about this is, yes, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm always advocating for awareness is just the beginning, and it's an important beginning. The stigma, let's change that so that people feel more comfortable and not resistant to supporting or diving into or even speaking about mental health. But quite often, it can't stop there, right? So you're doing the awareness, you're creating a movement of advocates and ambassadors, and that just starts to, as that takes shape, it normalizes conversations around mental health. But Looseheads isn't just satisfied with, let's talk about mental health. You're like, let's support, let's provide resources, which is the piece here that really impresses me of like, yep, we're going to raise awareness, but it's what we do with the awareness, isn't it, Rob, that really is going to make a change and help people. Just as I'm saying this, I want to ask you again, because I'm with my coaching and when I talk to people one-on-one, and what I'm trying to inspire people to do is come from service, be outwardly focused. We're in our own world a lot of the time. We've got our own survival mode that we're engaging in every day. What is it in you, and what does it give you individually to be the support that you're being and focusing outward and tirelessly working to create this movement? Can you speak from a personal perspective on what it's doing for you?
Yeah, so I started this. We've all got our own stories, the 3 of us that set it up. I started this because my best mate, I was 14, he was 15. He lost his dad, and I saw that he was struggling, and I just wanted to help people like him that were going through a tough time, but also people like myself that didn't really know what to say to their mates. And I think that sort of where, I sort of, that's why I set it up. That's why I set Looseheads up. But I think, what gets me up in the morning is, the messages that we receive, the things that we call the impact and the success stories. That's what, it's been nearly 2 years of being full time on this. It's been nearly 7 years of Looseheads since we gave birth to this thing. But it's been a hell of a roller coaster. It's been difficult. We've had sleepless nights ourselves. We've probably not looked after our own mental health. But I think the thing that really allows me to keep going and what really drives me on is the messages, the success stories. And one that really stands out to me is Beth, 16-year-old girl called Beth, got in touch with us February last year. And she said that she logged onto Instagram to say her final goodbyes to her friends. She was about to take her own life. And she saw a Looseheads social media post about not giving up. And she said that post made her think and stopped her. And she got in touch with us to say, Looseheads basically saved my life. And 3 months ago, we went down to Wrexham Rugby Club, which is in the north of Wales. We met Beth, who's now got a smile on her face about playing rugby. We did a content piece with her, which people can see on the Looseheads Instagram, social media channels. But yeah, we seeing that firsthand. 3 weeks ago, again, Beth played her first game for Looseheads Barbarians, which is a new side that we've sort of got where we're doing visiting different clubs. So a really nice story, but we get messages like that all the time. But that's what keeps me going. And the other thing I mentioned just before we jumped on here as well, isn't it? That I might not be wearing the Post with Pride on a t-shirt, but I've now got a Loose Heads tattoo.
Of course you do.
So I'm wearing the Post with Pride permanently now. But
and you're not the only one, are you?
We no. So we've had, before Dave and I got ours a couple of months ago, we found out that we had 14 people, and that's around the world, not just the UK. So we've got a few in Canada and States that have got Loose Heads tattoos. And Molly from Crewe Nantwich in northwest of England has got a massive Loose Heads tattoo on her thigh, rainbow post. So yeah, we owed it to our community to join them and join the tribe to get there.
Wow.
And that's what you mentioned there. That the title of this is how to turn a mission into a movement. And I think that movement is all about community, and that's one of our big things. One of our values, if you like, is the importance of community. It's our whole rugby community. It's not about us. It's about us, as in the whole rugby community. So yeah, that's what gets me up in the morning. It's hearing stories like that where we've actually impacted someone positively or genuinely saved a life.
Rob, thanks so much for sharing that story. I mean, it's so touching. I could feel the tears welling up myself in my eyes. And I don't need to ask you this, but it was important for me to ask you from a personal standpoint, because there's a lot of people that are probably looking at what you've created and continue to create. And as you said, it's not easy. It's hard. But it is enhancing your life. There's a lot of people saying, fair play to him, but there's no way I could do that. As much as I can do my part to help people say, I could do that, and I actually want to do that. And how can I make a difference? How can I improve my own life by improving other people's lives? So thank you again, because that's a perfect example of applying yourself, connecting to your why, which is important. That's what you told us, the why you did it. And that keeps you connected and grounded and driving forward and creating this. And people are inspired by your why. It shows in your work. And then that's how a movement is created, as you said. People believe in your why. They have a similar why themselves. They see what you're doing, and it's easy for them to get on board and amplify it. And by creating that movement from your mission, that's how we make change. That's how we make real change. And we move the needle when it comes to improving how we talk about mental health, how we support mental health and provide resources. So thank you so much, Rob, for all your efforts, and perfect way to kick off my LinkedIn Live Mental Health Awareness Month series with you, my friend. Now, more importantly, how can people find you and jump on board? I actually have a little QR.
There we go.
So that's the website. Is there any other way that you suggest people get in touch, contact you, or people, or Instagram as well?
Yeah, I mean, website there, which is like you popped up there. It's Loose Heads with a Z, because we think we're quite cool, but in reality, we're definitely not. But Loose Heads with a Z across all social media channels. You can get in touch with us on the web, on the website. There's an email address on there, and yeah, give us a follow, and you can also buy some merchandise to support the cause, which I'm not wearing, but you are, Mark. Thank you for wearing the Post with Pride.
Well, and Rob, can I add to what you're saying? And yes, individually give them a follow, but if you can get your company involved, if you're thinking of sponsoring, right? There's many ways that sponsors can get on board. Yes, and I'm thinking of a sponsor that can put up money to pay for people's Loose Heads tattoos, Loose Heads logos. There you go. You want to get more tattoos? Which company out there wants to provide some funding to give people free tattoos? We've got 16
now. Yeah, we had another one at the weekend, I think it was.
Another one on the weekend.
Maybe even now.
Let's get it to 100 Loose Heads tattoos by the end of 2024. And then we know we're really making a change out there.
There's a big objective to chuck on our goals.
I'm on board. But okay, great. Then plenty of resources, plenty of ways to find you, Rob. I'm going to let you go and get on with your night there in the UK. I'll see you again soon, but congratulations on everything you're doing, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed that. So thank you. Thanks for allowing me the platform, and yeah, hope the rest of the month goes well with your guests. Thank you.
Well, you're a hard act to follow, let me tell you, but one can only hope. But they'll be fine. If they watch this, then that gives them some inspiration. Thank you, Rob. As always, best of luck. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. And I saw some people pop in, pop out. That's so great to see here on LinkedIn Live while you're working during your workday. So Mental Health Awareness Month. Hopefully you got some inspiration from that. Maybe so much inspiration that you see what Rob's creating. You'd be like, I can start a movement too. It can start with a conversation with mates, as it did with Rob and family. And there's a need, and there's a way that you want to help. And then it's like, wow, wait a minute. Other people are kind of buying into this. Let's create a way for people to amplify their voices. And Loose Heads is doing just that. Okay, well, next week, new guest, more mental health awareness. Have a wonderful Wednesday/Thursday for everybody out there, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.